Let us let us go.
All right.
Hey, Ed DeRosa, he's here. He was my
Here.
first he was my first guest last time, and that didn't work out so well. My first guest this time, Josh up in Canada, did not work out so well. So we're gonna jump right into Ed in race seven. I appreciate anyone who's on there viewing, waiting. Ed was wondering, hey, is this really happening? Maybe you were wondering too. If you're still with us, I appreciate it. Ed's here. We're gonna talk seventh race, just so everyone knows, just to be upfront. Both Josh and I like the nine horse in the last race who put the pressure on the
Did
outside, but
I?
as did you. Okay, so we thought alike. It certainly did not work out in our favor. But hey,
The
that,
one was a little light, so I only dipped a toe in the pool, but it was my pick as well.
well, here we go. So like minds. Hopefully we'll get like minds on picking the winner next time. Um,
That's right.
seventh race. All right, so we're gonna look at the seventh. You're looking at the board, we're checking things out. Ed, just before we jump into the race, what is your process like handicapping? Do you look the night before, the day of, kind of narrow some things down and then wait for the board, or is it something different? What's your process like?
For me, I definitely prefer waiting until scratches, only because sort of my first major step is the Always program that Brisnet has, and that does allow you to scratch out horses. And the way it sort of handicaps races is it looks at pace profiles and things like that. So, every horse in or out can make a difference in terms of what it's looking at and what factors it's weighing. So I definitely prefer to wait. When I'm looking at a whole card, I want to try to have scratches available. Now, when it comes to stakes races, because I'm also balancing, being a turf rider and
Yep.
public handicapper, so to speak. Sometimes you have to look out ahead. And I will say, for those who might look at my Keeneland picks, for instance,
Yep.
which I do the night before most typically, I'm always handicapping for fast and firm,
Yep.
unless it is just obvious or some announcement's been made, or I can see the rain myself out my window for hours at a time. Then I'll make an executive decision. But
Right.
personally, if I'm handicapping far out, it's fast and firm. And if I have to go back to the drawing board, I will. But I prefer to wait, though, is the short answer after a long one.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And some like to handicap far out. I got a buddy in England who likes just to play future bets on horses. Uh,
Well, I mean, if that were available, it'd be a different conversation for sure.
I myself am doing the homework the night before. Like you, I'm waiting for scratches before I dig too deeply, and I'm trying to narrow some things down. And so, in the seventh race, speaking of narrowing things down, we got a marathon, mile and 3/8 on the turf. Where do you begin, and what's your opinion here as you look through and as you look at the board as we're talking? What's your biggest opinion, and what direction does that lead you in?
But like you said, when we were sort of assigning races, so to speak, when it comes to turf at Naira tracks, if you see Chad Brown's name
Yeah,
in the trainer list, that sort of has to be your starting point. I mean, he usually does have the top contenders, if not multiple. And B, we know he takes money. We know he gets the top jocks who also take money. So from thinking of, okay, is there an opportunity in this race? Will there be value? I definitely think you have to look at the brown horses and whether they fit or not. And I classified this race as an opportunity because, certainly his charges in here, he has the two, and I thought he had another one. Maybe not, but he
maybe not.
has the for sure. Um, the horse just looks okay to me. Like I didn't look at that horse and think, oh yeah, he's the one to beat. Can
Yep.
we beat him? He's just one of the ones. So from that starting point, I got excited about maybe there being some opportunity in this race.
I'm with you. I had the same viewpoint when I looked at this race, and is this horse going to be able, the brown horse that is, the two horse vesting, is he going to be able to walk out and waltz out like he did last time? I doubt it. Maybe he can. I even
Too.
even if even if he does that, who knows if he's good enough even to win here? And so I'm with you. I started with Brown, and then I looked around and I said, I think there's some opportunity here to take a few shots on some horses that might step up. at decent odds and are worth a play. So with that being said, who did you start to look out after you looked at the Brown House and said, let's see if I can beat them?
Well, like you noted, Vesting was a gate to wire winner last out at this distance, so have to think he's going to be close. But I was encouraged. A horse I actually like quite a bit, Parodies,
Yep.
the four, uh, number four, certainly capable of attending the pace, going shorter. Now stretching out to this distance, have to think he's going to be in the mix. And I ran a stat, not sure if you saw it, but Fat Bald Guy the other day said, "Man, Jose Ortiz is the jock that you want on the inner turf."
Yep.
And that got me wondering, like, oh, really? Well, he is good. Jose has a positive ROI going
Yeah.
back to 2021,
Yeah.
but he's not the best. The other Jose is. So Lascano picking up this mount, for Shug off the somewhat mini layoff and stretching out, I think is a must use. Now, it wasn't my top pick when I did the grid, but looking at the price now, he's 12-1 based on the multi race wagers. He's going to be at least that. Number four is very much in the mix for me.
Uh,
Love the jock and just think he's going to be, if not aggressive, he's going to be forward.
2 points to this, which I think are important. One is, as you said, I believe people just repeat things in racing as if they're truisms. Like you said, Ortiz is good, but when you looked, you found someone better. Someone said to me, I heard the other day about, Linda Rice sprinting on the grass. She was fabulous at one point. I think she's okay right now, but we tend to carry those, I don't know, good runs forward longer than I think they really exist. And I'm with
Yeah.
you. I landed on the four. The reason I landed on the four odds, number one. Two, here's a horse that could improve. I don't know if he's going to improve, but at 12-1, I'm willing to take a shot.
Yeah, I mean the time off, the time off and having to go this long, I don't love, but
Yep,
we're not talking about the favorite here.
right,
And based on the time form, pace projection, he actually could be ahead of the two, and the Ragzin figures say he's faster than the two. So those two things combined, I mean, maybe neither of them run well, but I know I'd much rather bet the longer price and be wrong than be like, oh, I can't believe I fell for that Brown.
right, right. Let me just talk about a horse that I found interesting for another reason. I don't know if you ascribe to this or not. Do you ascribe to hot jockeys, hot trainers? Do they move up in your feelings, your thoughts, your wagers? So I'm talking about Dylan Davis and Ray Handel, and they've been on
Sure.
fire. They've been on fire lately at Saratoga. Does that factor into your handicapping at all, or do you dismiss that? Are you
It's
looking more at the horse?
it's such a delicate balance because it's one of those I always fear that when you notice it, other people are noticing too, and it's a
Yeah.
pari-mutuel. So there's no value in noticing
Yep.
if you're not first. But then the other, it is cyclical. So
Yep.
and this is getting in the weeds, but I've always thought the opportunity was, mining data, machine learning, as all this stuff comes up. If you could figure out who's in the slump and then figure out what the signals are for the uptick before they turn things around. That to me is where the potential value is. So I mean, like I like being on the hot hand when I like the horse for other reasons.
Yep.
Like that's an encouraging piece of the puzzle. And if they're not favored, especially, that gives you like, all right, I got the guy who's on a streak.
Yep.
But it's very, very rarely a reason that I'm choosing that horse without other reasons.
Fair enough. I just thought I'd ask it because it's been on my mind the
Yeah,
last couple
no,
of days. And so you said the four is not your top choice, and where are you landing on your top choice, or are the choices that maybe be within the four in the mix?
I mean, I thought because I like the four, but recognizing that he might have a similar style is the favorite deuce. I thought number five, Better Bet, who currently is actually the 5-2 favorite, but based on the multi race wagers is going to drift a bit. Uh, but you know, connection. Irad Ortiz here picks up the mount. It's hard to say that from Johnny V is a positive, but Irad is top two in the
Yeah.
country.
Yep.
So, it's no disrespect to anyone else other than Pratt. I would say is never going to be a move up, but Irad is just to me on that tier that if he wasn't on him last time, it's a move up on the jock. And this horse is they've wanted to run him long, and they have. And the last race was obviously a complete throw out. But what's interesting to me is, had the trouble, which is clear as day in the comment line. The Brisnet speed rating, even that far back, is not that far off uh, the favorite or
Yeah.
the second choice currently. So, Better Bet has a lot of room to improve off that last race. Totally not indicative of what he's capable of. And, similar layoff to the four. But I think if I were in a show parlay for my life, Better Bet would be the one I think is, I don't want to say a lock to finish in the top three. It
Right.
has the run style. The distance is no issue, and it's going to run better than last time. So, I think Better Bet is the one I'm sort of looking to key with the other prices I like.
And who are the other prices besides the four horse?
Yeah, the four, and I actually like the only horse who's a longer price than him. I think Anthem King, Jose, who's we noted does have a positive ROI on the inner turf, and this horse's turf debut, which I mean, I know Josh is a big pedigree guy, and unfortunately, we didn't get to hear from him last race.
Yeah.
But I'm always looking for extremes when the horse is doing something for the first time.
Yep.
I want to know if the pedigree says, "Man, this just does not work," or I want to know if it says, "Hey, this is a clear move up." This one's in the middle, so it's a non-factor for me. But uh, to me, the distance is more of a positive here, being out of a Curlin mare, and both the Oro shouldn't have any issue. So I thought Anthem King and the turf debut was worth a look at a big price. I mean, they're completely ignoring him, but the speed figures say this one can be in the mix.
Yeah, and so I find it interesting, especially at Saratoga. You and I talked a little bit last week, how it's different or it's a premier meet. And I think sometimes trainers get overlooked like Beckham, or they get bet a lot like Swayze is, and this his horse, the five, and this in this case, rivaling with Brown, which I find interesting. Um, so, are you looking for the shippers in Saratoga at all to capitalize, or is it? Do you think it's just again part of the pieces that you're putting together?
But I think, excuse me, I think the trend is shifting in terms of where the strength is. I mean, Churchill Downs, the racing there post Derby the last year, this year and last year is just not what it was 5, 6, certainly even a generation ago.
Yep.
It's better. I mean, period. So sort of the historical shipper stats I think are tough to lean on, but certainly recency bias wise, the Kentucky horses are gangbusters. They go east, they go west, and they do well. So to me, that's a positive in
Yeah.
this case. Kept good company at Churchill, and again, the numbers say fast enough to run with these. Just the distance and turf a question mark, but we're getting the longest price on the board, and I firmly believe the point you made about the trainer is part of that.
Yeah.
If I'm not saying the horse would be 9-2 if it was Chad Brown, but certainly the fact that this is sort of a wild card horse with maybe a trainer people aren't as familiar with, the money isn't following, but this horse is in the mix.
I agree. I agree. The seven interests me just a little bit because it's Bill Mott bringing a horse from from over from France, running an allowance what looks like allowance company there. Again, I'm like you, similar. I want to just is this horse worth it? Can this horse step up? And at greater odds, I always like to take a shot, at least in the pick fives. And if you can beat Brown in a pick five on the turf, like you said, the odds are great. Are going to be most of the time going to be greater in those pick four, pick five pools.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I didn't have really a hurdle to clear in the other leg, so I passed on the pick five.
Yep.
Um, but this is a horse. I mean, and I'd be happy I had him on my ticket because he's not taking money. And some people they like to see the horse taking money, and I get why. But in this case, with who's in the race, like this price is fair. Like it's totally not dead on the board. Aragon, who's the best in the game at making
Yep.
morning line, said 8-1, and that's about what he is. So if he was 15-1, there'd be trouble because David knows what's going on. So I'm not saying it's a positive that he's the price he is. Certainly not a negative.
Right.
Um, I just wish I had something to hang my hat on. elsewhere in the sequence. I didn't want to go four deep here, which is what I would add to do. I was 4, 5, 7, 8 in the
Yep.
A column. And even though I am beating Chad Brown with those four horses, uh, the ticket was just too unwieldy elsewhere. So I decided I was just going to look vertically. And with the prices we're getting on the 4 and 8, especially, I feel like I can do something here. But the 7 is sort of the secondary. Hey, if it comes 8-7, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah, yeah. So, and you said something really good, and we'll wrap up in a second so you can watch the race and make your bet if you haven't already. But
Now,
uh, it's the ideas behind do I play the pick five or not? You mentioned a couple of things really quickly. If people listening who are not as have played as long as you and I have, basically budget would have been too unwieldy, too big, and for that reason, not worth it for you. And a better reason to go ahead and attack this within the race instead of adding it within one, two, three, four other races. I think that's a key element to make decisions is budget and can I is it reasonable and can I win at this bet?
right? Yeah, I mean, your budget. I'm always thinking about certain amounts when you put a ticket together, and you're like, well, that's too much, and it's kind of obvious. But very few of us have unlimited funds, and every play is some percentage of the capital we have to work with. And looking at what I would have had to play today, to you want to look at it as covering my opinions,
Yep.
just would have been too much of the capital. Then you start thinking, oh, I have X amount tied into this pick five. I don't want to play an exacta here because I've already allocated my funds. And my strong opinion is vertically here. I'm
Yep.
against the favorite. I like two big prices. I should tie that together, which I can do intra race, versus saying, oh, well, if I can advance with the 16-1, I blow up the pick five. And unfortunately, I've seen this movie many times. The next race I go out when the 4-1 I didn't like runs
Yeah.
off the screen. So,
Correct.
which is going to happen, but this wasn't a pick five. I wanted to see that happen too. I'd much rather try to make something happen beating vesting here.
What do you think your bet's going to be?
Uh, I'm definitely going to box 4, 7, 8, which I know I often say boxes are for shoes, but there's 8 going to the gate. Those are 3 of the 4 longest prices. So to me, that's just a bear. Like, to the long prices, I know any of those 6 combinations is going to be overlaid based on my opinion.
Yep.
I got to do it. Then the other, I would say I'm going to key 5 with 4, 8, because I like better bet. And then I do prefer exactas to tries, but because I think vesting definitely has a shot to not even hit the board here.
Yep.
I think I got to, and I mentioned how better bet would be my show parlay for my life. I'm going to key better bet with 4, 7, 8 in the tries as well. So a try key box there is $9
Yeah.
for the minimum. And then I'll press with better bet on top probably. But yeah, basically a 4, 7, 8 exacta box, 5 with 4, 8 exactas, and then 5 with 4, 7, 8 tries.
I like it. I like the bet. I like the thought process into it. Hoping that favorite runs up the track, and if he does, then your combinations are paying more on those trifectas and exactas. I think it's an excellent bet, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad you came on. I'm glad we got on.
Yeah,
One of these one
glad
of
we
these days,
finally got it to stream.
yeah, one of these days I'm gonna get all five guests on at the same time. So
Love it.
I gotta keep keeping you in mind because I love hearing your strategy and the way you think, and just the reason I want to do this is I feel like we don't talk enough gambling. We talk a lot of handicapping, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I like sharing the thought process behind what's the bet, what's the gamble, which is the essence of this game.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all looked at enough races, and you come to the realization that so many horses can win every race. It's just what's their chance of winning, and then pushing that edge. The days of picking a horse and riding or dying with it, no matter what, and they're 4-5, and you're still betting them. They're over. You're never going to win playing like that.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to have fun losing money, that's fine.
And
You know?
that, yeah, if you're once in a while at the track, that's absolutely have your fun, do whatever. But if you're doing this with any volume, you gotta ditch the underlays.
Absolutely. Agreed. Ed, good luck on this race, and hopefully we'll talk
Right.
again soon.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
All
Thanks for
right,
having me.
brother. Absolutely. Thanks for waiting it out. Appreciate it. Thanks, Ed. All right, we are back with race eight and Rennie in the house. We just had Ed DeRosa going through race seven. Uh, he didn't get that one. Rennie, you didn't get that one. But before we talk about that or anything else, just introduce yourself, how you arrived here, how'd you get into horse racing, gambling quickly, and what, kind of what your journey's been like.
Yeah, what's up? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Mike Rennie Time on Twitter. Just love ranting about the horses and just trying to get the word out there to anyone I can. Anyone that's interested. Grabbing gambling's way more accepted now than ever. I'm 43 years old, so I grew up when it was not the normal thing for everyone. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, just horse racing's awesome. I just love the how it's really difficult as everyone knows, and I think that's kind of makes you almost come back to with my type of mind. When you're actually right, you get rewarded.
Yeah.
It's parimutuel pools. I like play. I'm not a blackjack player, slot player. I don't like going against the house. I'd rather go against other people. Poker was my initial, college around 1999 and 2003. I'm in college.
Yep.
That poker boom, moneymaker, the poker boom. I was in
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
that I was literally a part of it. I was playing all the time. Every poker room around anywhere was packed. It was
Yeah.
so it was cool to be a part of. So that gradually just kept me in gambling realms, sports betting and stuff. Dabbled into ponies a little bit. Portland Meadows.
Yeah. Oh,
Went
yeah.
grew up going to the track.
Yeah.
My dad and I, aunts, uncle, the whole family, we lived right by the track. Portland Meadows is right in the city. It was real cool. We went there a bunch growing up. So always been around the horses. And then time kind of poker takes a lot of time. And
Yeah.
I got married and stuff, kind of drifted out. Horse racing, minute 30, 2 minutes, boom, you got a winner or a loser. You know what I mean? So that really, I like that. That's why I really like horse racing. You don't have to sweat out a full game, 3 hours
Yeah.
or sports poker, whatever, hey, you can get rewarded real quick, 2 minute slap. So that really got me into it and getting rewarded off smaller bets with the par mutuals. So that's why horse racing great. People are awesome. So and it's a like real athletic sports. Horses are such freak athletes in general. So yeah, kind of my realm getting into it.
Love it, man. You ring some of the things and ring that bell. I think parimutuel, yeah. Losers are going to pay the winners, and I'm looking for those, overlays as we all are on those longer odd horses. And like you said, minute and a half, 2 minutes, there it is. It's done. If however we do, we get another one coming up in 20, 25 minutes. So
Exactly.
if the game and just a one little editorial note, if they could market itself like that, you get more people because I don't do sports betting. That's a
Yeah.
grind. You got to be right six, seven
Yeah.
times out of 10. That is a grind. So I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we're talking about it. We're going to talk about race eight, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. One of my old horse racing buddies used to say, I can't pick a winner on those on replay.
Right? Very difficult, especially the Saratoga meet. You got people gearing up for this. And turf racing's been so spotty in America over the past 4 or 5 years. Fairgrounds didn't have turf for a year. Churchill's been off and on with their turf. Gulfstream didn't have turf for a year. So all these horses that were younger, I feel like are like their forms later almost too. So
Yeah,
Saratoga, you kind of gear up for that, so it makes it even more difficult to me. And this race looks very tough. You got a couple makers, a couple trainers that know how to win on the turf too. So I thought pace wise, I thought it'd be hot. I think the jockeys too. What I like about Saratoga, you want to win at Saratoga.
everybody.
Way more aggressive jockeys at times that maybe sometimes aren't. It means so much to the connections. People, everyone wants to win at Saratoga. So yeah, so I think the pace is going to be hot here. I got the 3 and the 10 as the true pace to me that are going to go. But I fell on the second maker here, the longer of the two. We saw earlier the longer Chad one.
Yep.
It's a common thing, but I just think it sets up for the six maker here. What I really like about Mike Maker is the second race after he gets a horse. So this is that race. Puts it on the turf here. And should have no problem with its natural speed. I think it'll be sitting about fourth or fifth, and just sitting that six hole, nice and chilly. Wrap them up late there. One run coming home is kind of how I'm seeing it there with the six. Don't
So
know the live odds of it right now.
yeah, yeah. So you formulated your opinion was formulated off the pace and off of Mako.
Yes,
Was that
yes.
what?
On
Well, that
the 5.5 turf, I feel like it's such a, is someone just going to get loose and skinny? I actually like, I prefer more taking a chance on a price speed horse on turf and just hope they get loose. Because closing is such a hard thing. It's a trip, you to come off it, you got to get the right trip. You one check in a 5.5 furlong sprint,
yeah,
you're going to be in trouble. So I don't like someone coming too far off it, but it can happen too. They swing out wide. You see it. That five just came from the cloud cells along the race, but still that five came from it. So there's no problem closing compared to the dirt track today. That's for sure.
yeah,
So yeah, I was off all pace this race. I think it's going to be real hot, and the six has natural speed and has won off the pace a couple times.
yeah. There's a lot. When I looked at this race, I don't know you, Rennie, but when I looked at this race, I see, oh my God, a lot of moving parts. Right? We got some trying the turf for the first time, like you said, off the claim. I feel like this is not a wide open race. I hate to say that, but I don't feel like there's any one favorite in this race that I'd say, oh, this is the horse that's going to win, which I think makes it a good gamble.
Exactly. Those are my favorite. The money should be spread around. And it looks like anyone, but you got a couple. You have Fuji in here and stuff. Some horses you've seen before. I've seen a lot of
Right.
these horses. The thrill of it, surveillance. Mark Street. These horses have been around. So are they going to refire? Are they going to find something? Like the seven, I was leaning seven just because it's never ran on the turf. It's the first time doing it. So if it's going to happen, maybe it's this time. And I think a price will win, some type of price. I don't know the six's odds right now. It could be bet down.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's at 7-2 right now, Rennie, and
yeah, see, I
the
was kind of worried about that.
the thrill of it has climbed to 23-1. So I'm with you. I'm like, so most people in a pari-mutuel wager are going to look in this race for turf and speed, and if not, they're going to shy away from it. But I think those are the opportunities to take the shot and try to get rewarded. Maybe bet a little, like you said, to win a lot. And when I looked at this race, I know the coach has been around a long time, right? And this is not his move. He's not a dirt turf kind of guy. I know this horse has tried the turf. I'm talking about the 8 Market Street. But
Mhm.
I'm with you. I'm like, why not? Why is this not
Yeah.
an opportunity to take a why not shot on a horse that might take to the turf sprinting? He went once long at Saratoga, I think, as a 2-year-old, really didn't do anything. But hey, he's a sprinter. Why not?
Exactly, and it has a street cry, some pedigree behind. So there's some turf pedigree. Pedigree. I'm not the biggest pedigree guy,
Yep.
but it's at least in that long shot thing. Like I'm not gonna choose a horse strictly based off the pedigree. Maybe some maiden going long or something on the turf, but it's pretty rare. I don't think pedigree is the most important angle, if at all. It matters to some extent, of course, on a soundness level. I feel more.
Yep.
That's what I'm more. Can Will this horse have a good career type thing, or it's going to be a quick retirement type horse deal for pedigree wise? But yeah, no, I'm with you. That's why I'm actually probably with the six being bet down to 7-2. Probably gonna shy away a little bit more, and I'll probably do a win bet on the seven. Just because of the odds related there. And then I'll do a straight double though. Now I like the six get taking money, so I'm gonna win bet the seven and then do a straight double with the six into the seven of next race. That's how I'm gonna kind of play this race here. So if the six ends up being the correct money, bet down horse, I'll be live to the horse I think will win the next race.
Nice.
And then I have my win bet on my long shot here. So a couple options there for me in this race.
Yeah, and I'm just looking for you for the double will pays on that 6 to the 7. Right now it's 24 for a dollar. Well,
It's about
that
exactly what I thought. Try to take because the next horse should be the betting favorite, and this horse might be. So at least I'll get maybe 20 over 20 to 1 on a couple favorites is what I'm looking at to back up my long shot though, where I'll sprinkle some, to have my price play. I just kind of go off odds, and kind of got to be able to, you got to move with it. Sometimes I get stuck on a horse, but I don't want to get stuck on a horse that's taking too much money, on the six here, this race. That's what I was worried about it too. Because sometimes when everyone sees it on paper, I try to maybe look a different direction,
Sure. And
just if it doesn't seem right, if it's some beast of a horse everyone knows a little different, but in this type of race I don't know if the six should be 7-2 for sure, you know what I mean?
yeah, I feel like people, again, the crowd falls with the names, right? They fall with the jockey names, the trainer names. I think,
Yep.
especially in a race like this where it's kind of confusing. Like you said, a lot of these horses have been running before. They're not, movers and shakers. They've maybe finished in the money here and there. But I think it's a sound decision to try to. Do you try to take short odds and make them pay longer by doing that in the doubles or pick threes or pick fours and pick fives? Is that a strategy that you use?
Yeah, I'm a big time uh I love that move of creating a favorite. I feel that's a good favorite. There you can't fade every favorite. The
Right.
favorites, especially nowadays, like Indiana Grand, the favorites are winning like 40% almost. Other tracks are like 34 to 36. That's way higher than the old 33%
Yeah.
back in the day. It's way higher now. So to fade every favorite is just not going to work. So yeah, it's all in the pool size too. I want a big pool. If I see a big double pool and you got a huge favorite, maybe try to ice cold one or sprinkle with long shots. I'll go. I won't use a favorite. I don't go unless I do straight. That's the only time I'll do favorite to favorite is straight. But if I use the one favorite in the first, I'm gonna spread. If I go more than one, I want prices. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I'm gonna go for it. Big time double and pick three off that, especially pick fours too. Take a couple favorites. Take two favorites, and if you think they're gonna be 3 to 5, 2 to 5, that level under the sports bet of the 110 minus 110
Yeah.
level, it's
Yep.
kind of where my line is with that. So yeah, big time. I think it's getting 10 to 15 to 1 on any type of bets. It's where it's at. Really good. If you can get that, that's why I like horse racing. It's a lot of opportunity for those more than sports to me that are like a higher win rate.
Correct. But it's like I said, it's a longer grind. You got to be right, seven, six, seven,
Exactly.
8 times to make any sort of profit. You're going to sprinkle here in the double, sprinkle in the win. So your bet is going to be the win on the seven. I think he was at 23 to 1 last time I checked, and he's at 23 to 1 still. And the six is at 7-2, and you're going to play a 6-7 double. Boom.
That's right. Let's
Love it.
get it.
Straight. There it is, man. Well, I appreciate you being on. I hope we can do it again. And
For sure, man. Thanks for having me.
yeah, we want to share the knowledge. That's what this is all about. And thanks for coming on. We're gonna watch your bet. We'll see how you do.
All right, let's get it. Take care.
All right, see you. Awesome. Thanks, man. All right, to finish up the show, it's just me. It says race 9 under there, but it is, in fact, race 10. Thank you to my guests this week, Ed DeRosa. Also, that was for the 7th race. We had Mike Rennie for the 8th race, and my old friend Brian Zipsey for the previous race, the 9th race. We're talking about the 10th. Sorry, problem with the graphics department. I'll have to get back to them. But hope for those of you who stuck around and watched on and off, or maybe watching right now, appreciate it. Sorry to Josh Hanson to kick it off. We had some technical difficulties up in Canada. He said he's blaming Justin Trudeau. I'm right behind him on that one. I think we should. We'll figure that out. We'll get Josh on another time. Race 10, we got state bred maidens on the turf, going where they're going a mile. Uh, just not rocket science here for me. We've been talking against the favorite all day, um, and the favorite's coming once, I think, in the 5 races. Um, I would say this is a race where you have to accept the shorter odds prices. Except I am going against the favorite from the 11 hole. He's the current favorite at 2 to 1, not the morning line favorite. Rhetorical. Um, I would go with David Donk in this situation. Um, He's good on the turf, going short, going long. Not a high percentage trainer, but he wins his share of New York bred races. And he wins his share of 2-year-old races. Isn't this a 2-year-old race? Sorry, I'm a little flustered. Didn't have a guess for us in this final race. No, 3-year-olds and upward. So, going long, state bred, going short, state bred. I'm not afraid to use trainer David Donk. Over the past 6 years, he's only had Javier Castellano ride from 6 times, 2 for 6, 33%. That's a pretty good statistic. Not a lot of data behind it, but why not in this race? And the 4, Mark Cassie's horse. And Mark Cassie's been crushing it to start at Saratoga. Mark Cassie has said, trainer Mark Cassie has said, he made sure most of his horses had prep races before heading to Saratoga, and he feels that's why he's winning more often this early. He's got Jose Ortiz in the irons. We talked earlier about Jose Ortiz on the inner turf with Ed DeRosa. Strong winning percentage there. He's riding the 4. So I take those horses. Film Academy, number 4. Number 6, Win Dancer. Maybe box him in an exactor. That's where I would end up. Appreciate you for watching. Hope you learned something. We're trying to teach something. That's why we're doing this gambling show. Maybe we'll build an audience, or hopefully we'll build an audience and a stable, if I can say, of guests, of 10 to 12 to 15 guests will rotate through, and we'll talk betting strategy. Not a lot of strategy on this last race. I wish you well. I wish you a great Saratoga weekend. If you're playing the horses this weekend, are going actually to go to the spa. All right, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you.